Welcome back to another episode of Mid-Michigan Whitetails. It is October 12th today. It's about 2:30 in the evening. We're going to go out hunting tonight, but I want to talk about a few things before I go to the hunts. Number one, this episode's probably quite a bit shorter than our previous episode. That's due to a couple reasons. The first reason is been out hunting, but it's either been raining or too windy, and our lower quality camera has a lot of problems with the rain and the wind and picking up proper video and audio. So those hunts are basically unusable. Number two, Mid-Michigan Whitetails did invest in a higher quality premier hunting camera. Unfortunately, the camera broke, as everything does, and now it's being shipped off to be repaired. It's going to take a few weeks, so we're stuck with using a lower quality camera. So you're going to see some jumping around on the camera arm due to it being lightweight. The audio quality is probably not going to be as great, and the video quality is going to be subpar at best. Hopefully we can get some good content, and I'm going to try my best to keep up on the video content and really keep it as best as I can have it. But it's going to be a little more amateur for this week, and maybe even the week after that. But again, we'll do what we can do with what we have. That being said, we're going out tonight. We had this cold front move in, as many of you may know. It's got the mature bucks up. I have a couple mature bucks on the radar right now. They're coming out of the corn finally. One we called Tank. He showed up on the 5th and the 11th. And then also we have one we call Dozer. He showed up on the 10th. Tank showed up during shooting hours one time. So I just picked the wrong stand that day. It's unfortunate, but it happens. And then a couple other mature bucks I've been seeing. Nothing on camera, but I've seen them personally. But again, the video, I can't use it. It's too windy. And so we just couldn't get it done. Hopefully tonight it's going to be better. The wind's going to be a lot lower. It's not going to be raining. And tomorrow the cold front's really going to come in. Those pressures are rising, and everything's falling in place. I think, the cards are aligning and the mature bucks are moving. I believe this weekend we have a very good chance of getting it done here. So stay with me. Let's see how it goes. I believe we have a good chance. Let's see what happens. And I pulled my camera I have down here at a spot you haven't seen before. I've been letting it sit so far for this year. Haven't had too much activity down in there. A couple does, so we're not going to hunt that tonight. But I just want to show you guys that mature bucks can be closer than you believe. So for instance, I know this is a good spot come later in the season. There's a creek right down there. And my stand is right on the edge of this tree line overlooking that creek. It's right down there. If you look over here, the stand is exactly about 150 yards from the neighbor's house. You can see right up at the top of the hill up there, that's my access point. I literally park in the neighbor's driveway and I walk through his backyard. I can see his house. And then I come down just into the edge of this lot over to this creek right here. Like I said, about 150 yards from the house. Mature bucks can be anywhere. You really got to look for them and understand. A lot of guys would push past this creek, through the thicket, and then up into this nice grass, like CRP field up on the other side, and they'd hunt that. Well, you're trampling through this whole area. You're spooking any deer that live back here that they think this is relative safety. The neighbor doesn't hunt them here. They can come in here and they can browse and they can eat, and they get their woody browse for the day, and they don't feel pressured by the neighbor. They have their water from the creek right here. And yes, we have, you know, multiple people right in this area. This guy's backyard is right here. He can come down here anytime he wants, and they don't spook. When you're in a high pressure area, the deer hunker down a lot more. But also you gotta see what the human traffic looks like in the area you're in. And with this being pretty high human traffic, you can get away with a lot. And the mature bucks are gonna move differently than in other areas. So there's probably about 10 apple trees down along this creek line throughout this thicket. And you can't see them until you get down in the thicket. The bigger bucks, yeah, you might see them right at last light come out into that CRP field. But what they're doing is they're bedded down here behind me over here in this thicket, and they're coming up this creek line. They're eating some of these apples with these does, and then they're moving from there off through the thicket into the CRP field. So you got to get within that 100-yard bedding of them in that area. And you know, otherwise you're not going to see them until after dark. Have your trail camera out. You're getting all these photos of deer an hour after daylight, 2 hours after daylight. You need to move closer to their bed, but find a safe route to access. If I wanted to get to this stand from some of my other stands, how I access those, I would have to walk through multiple bedding grounds, or I'd have to walk through multiple areas where deer have activity. Instead, what I did is I went and I talked to my neighbors, you know, friendly conversation with them. I got access to park in their second driveway, move through their yard. I actually come right down the edge of this fence here, and then from there I only have to make this 20-30 yard distance through possible area where the deer could be laying, and then climb into my tree. That's the thing you have to look for these big bucks. You have to be where other people are not. It's not always I see a big buck, I move there. You need to understand where that buck is moving from. And then from there, backtrack him. If you have the land and the availability to do that, backtrack him to within 100 yards of his bed. And then that's when you're going to catch the daylight movement on these mature bucks. It's October 12th. It's about 4:40 in the afternoon. I'm getting into the stand a little late. Today I decided to sit in a spot you haven't seen before on the farm. I'm on the far back side of the farm. I sit in between two bedding grounds, real big. This is my sanctuary over here, and then this is the neighbor's sanctuary on my left. They come together. I'm actually only about 60 yards, 80 yards from the road behind me, and that's how I access in here. The wind's blowing in my face, going right to the road. It's coming out of the west today. They're taking the ag field, the bean field and the cornfield off that touches my neighbor's property and goes into his sanctuary and into mine. I haven't put too much pressure over here. I've hunted it one other time this year. It was a morning hunt and it was raining. Didn't see anything. Now I'm slipping in here. I pulled my card on my camera down in front of me. I have a few mature bucks in here, tanks in here, and then some other bucks look like they're like 2.5-year-olds. But it's nice to see some buck activity. It's all coming in about 7 to 7:15 at night. So it's going to be real tight to shooting hours and real low light for the camera. So hopefully cold front's coming in, they get up just a tad bit earlier, be able to get them on camera, and well, let's hope for a shooter. I really hope I got that on film. He's not the biggest buck, but I think he's about 100 inches, and around here, that's shooter line for me. He's about out to his ears, but he's tall. I think I got a good hit. I'm going to have to review the footage. I had to thread the needle a little bit. He wasn't going to come out. I mean, that's what they do. They get to the spot where they think they're safe, and they stay there. Let me review the footage before I start to celebrate. He might need to lay. He either crashed 40 yards away or he laid down. I don't know. We'll see. I might have missed too. I was shaking pretty bad. We'll find out. Alright guys, I just reviewed the footage. It looks like it's gut liver to me. It was pretty dark. I mean, I'm making excuses, but I thought he stopped farther than he did. I know my shot. The camera's angled differently than me. So I know it was tucked up a few more inches farther, but good positioning, just too far back. I'm gonna wait this out and probably gonna come look for him in the morning. Luckily, it's super cold out. He sounded like he only ran about 40 yards, and I wouldn't say crashed, but stopped. Like I said, this is my sanctuary, so he very well could have just ran over there and stopped, and hopefully lay down for tonight. We'll see. I'm going to put it on the big screen when I get home. I'm going to look at it a little better, but I really think I'm going to have to let him lay overnight. But hopefully we find him, guys. It's a decent buck. And I still got one more tag in my pocket if we find this guy. October 12th, baby. Cold front coming in. So it's October 13th. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning right now. I'm sure you've seen the pictures on Facebook. Last night I shot a pretty decent buck. I have no history with him on the farm. I did leave him lay overnight. As you can see in the frame, it was a pretty bad shot. No real excuses for that. The camera was a little farther left of me, so it actually was tucked up in there a little bit more, but it was still pretty bad. Well, not making excuses, but when I drew back, I looked down at the camera. He took a couple extra steps. I got back on him, and I just didn't realize that. Luckily, you know, we have the sanctuary. We didn't really push him. I did go look for him last night, just for the fact of I did hear him bed down and we had some of that rain come in. I wanted to at least have a starting area to start doing circles to look for him. We found a good spot where we thought he was going to be at. We actually went out this morning. The reason why I didn't do an opening interview, before we even got there, as we were driving along the path that hugs the sanctuary, I looked down in the pond and he was right there. He made it about 120, 150 yards, somewhere in there from the tree stand. He didn't go that far and he died last night. I must have caught an artery, caught a vein in there. I didn't quite hit liver. It was straight gut, I'll be honest. The shot is nothing to be happy about. But we did harvest the animal. He did die pretty quick. Now we're about to go get him processed, and next year we'll have another mounter to put on the wall. Stay tuned and hope you like our content. Welcome to Mid-Michigan Whitetails channel. Thank you. I was like, man, that rock's never been there before.
Well, I could see that rock. I couldn't see the pond where I was sitting. Stiff?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's crazy stiff, man.
Well, he's been dead for a bit.
Woo. Decent buck. Okay. Come out.